The defense lawyer for accused number 1 in the AKA and Tibbs murder case believes that the state's case against him is weak. During his bail application in the Durban Magistrate Court, Nhlanhla Sehume said he intended to plead not guilty, as needs to be done, or rather a lot needs to be done at his home to support his pregnant wife. However, AKA's father, Tony Forbes, who was present in court, believes that the state's case against the accused is solid. He also believes the mastermind is still roaming freely. Mr. Forbes joins us now for more on this discussion. Mr. Forbes, a pleasure to have you on the program, despite the circumstances of our conversation. Firstly, the recent court proceedings regarding the murder of your son and Tibelo Tibbs, it's garnered significant attention. How do you and your family feel about these developments and the plea of not guilty from accused number 1?
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to stress that most of these opinions that I will offer here are mine, and as a family, each one is different, and we have our own individual thoughts about things. But as a family, we are encouraged by what has happened, and that matters have come to this point. We have been following this case and the progress for more than a year. And personally, I feel that we are definitely getting closer to finding out what happened to our son, and we hope closer to bringing those responsible to book. So I feel personally encouraged and cautiously optimistic.
You describe your feeling as being cautiously optimistic. I want us to expand a bit on that. You've been following the proceedings quite closely. Can you share your insights or even reactions that you have regarding some of the assertions made by, like what I said in the intro, accused number 1, that's Nhlanhla Sehume, speaking about the weakness of the state's case and his intentions to plead not guilty. What emotions were you going through?
Well, I mean, for me, personally, if I was in that position and I have not seen the state's case in detail, then it would be expected that I would say the same. The accused has to motivate why he should be given bail. And if I was in that position, I would say whatever would favor my motivation and get the necessary result. In this instance, the accused is rubbishing the state's case without having seen the state's case. Personally, I feel confident or cautiously optimistic in the sense that we have walked this journey. I have walked this journey with the SAPS and to an extent with the MPA for more than a year now, and from the very first arrest. And it's always been about building a case and not about just making arrests. So there's some solid evidence which backs up these arrests, and that will come out when the state responds at the bail hearings. Starting with the bail hearings, and that's why I feel that's why I use the words cautiously optimistic.
It's quite interesting as well that a discharge application is also planned after the state rests its case. What are your thoughts on this strategy by the defense, and how do you anticipate it will impact the trajectory of the trial?
I'm not a legal expert, so, apology. But, I wouldn't like to speculate right now. They're saying whatever they need to say, and, including threatening that they will, whatever they've said, whatever applications they are threatening they're going to make. They haven't seen the state's case. So until such time that the state presents its case to oppose the bail, I don't really want to comment and speculate. as to, what the impact will be.
Yeah.
We've waited for more than a year. Let's wait for a week and a bit. I think it will probably take another week or so before the state will respond, and we'll get. And then it's a case of I would say let's have the discussion then about how solid the state's case is.
As a father myself, I would imagine that it is quite a difficult task to sit in court and hear some of the statements that are being made. I have to ask you this, and also in the face of adversity, what lessons have you learned about the resilience and perseverance of your family, especially throughout this legal battle?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to struggle. I would not say that, we are on top of things. We continue to emotionally coming to terms with the loss of Kenan. It is still very, very difficult for us. It's a roller coaster, and and it will be like that for a while. The court case and the arrest does not change that. It will not bring him back. However, it is for me personally, it is part of my closure. It is part of, and my closure has to include understanding what happened, who did it, why was it done. So I despite struggling, with my emotions and just generally dealing with life, I find myself, getting up in the morning early and flying to Durban, sitting through, doing what needs to be done, and if that's resilience, then yes. But I think. For me, the thing is, what I realized, finding out what happened is important. Bringing to book the perpetrators is important for me as part of my closure. And I have found myself to be very patient. Naturally, I'm an impatient person. I want to do things. I want things to happen fast. But in this particular instance, there's no sense in rushing matters. It's got to be done properly. And I guess for me, that is an important reflection, is that amidst all this sadness and grief, that I keep going, and because I want to find out what's happened, and it gives me a reason to pay attention, follow the case, and be involved and support the team in Durban.
As we expand more about your reflections, and also as the legal process unfolds, what are your hopes for justice for AK and Tibbs as well? And how do you navigate the complexities of seeking closure while also enjoying the trial's duration as well?
I mean, like I said, for me, the closure, it is, these two, what's happening in court and the justice, they're interrelated, For me, closure, I don't know what closure is exactly, but I understand what we're going through, and finding justice for them is part of that closure, however long it takes. So if this case drags on for a few years in court, which it could, but I know it gets us closer to getting justice for them, and I also know it's part of my closure. Then I'm ready for that. I'm prepared for that. So there will be setbacks along the way. Some of these guys may be granted bail. It's not the world. Success is not a linear path. So for me, it's not either or. They're interrelated. As for what my expectations are, I really believe that we are at the the bottom of the pyramid. I believe that there are maybe one or more layers, probably two or more layers above the current people that are in custody in terms of getting with the true mastermind, the person or people that commissioned this sitting at the top of this pyramid. So for me, this is justice is getting right to the top of this pyramid. Will we get there? There's a chance we may not get to the top of the pyramid, but I'm an optimist. I believe that if we follow the process, that teams is the people's team, I call it, is given the room to investigate properly, then who's to say that we will not be able to get to those or that person that commissioned this and bring that person to book? For me, that's justice.
As we wrap up our conversation, firstly, let me thank you for agreeing to speak to us this afternoon. But before we let you go, let's speak about your son. He was a superstar with a lot of fans, or the legacy as we've come to know them. How do we keep this legacy alive then?
Well, I mean, although I'm sad and it was tragic, I take comfort in being proud of Kenan and being grateful, that we had him for 35 years. And I'm particularly proud of how he inspired people, not only in the music sense, but, across different parts of our society and our lives. And for me, the best way to keep Kenan's legacy alive is to continue to do things that similarly inspire people to be better than who they are at any point in time. So we created the Kenan Forbes Foundation, and it is our hope that we can undertake projects that make meaningful contributions, whether it's in the education field, the music field, in art, with NGOs, whether it's an NGO that looks at or getting people to love the South African flag or take pride in the South African flag. For me, that's the best way to remember Kenan and to keep his legacy alive, is to continue to do things that inspire.
Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time. As we conclude our discussion with Tony Forbes, a.k.a. his father, we do extend our gratitude for sharing your insights into the ongoing court proceedings surrounding the tragic loss of Kenan, a.k.a. Forbes, as well as Tibelo Tibbs Motswane. The family is saying that they are hopeful regarding the process of the court.